What is up, y'all? How are y'all doing? I hope you're doing good, because I'm doing fantastic. You know why I'm doing fantastic? Because I just witnessed possibly the best superstar duel in this entire playoffs. Yes, I'm aware it's only round 1, but dog, what I just witnessed from a do-or-die game in Detroit versus Orlando was just unbelievable. This is just one of those moments where I stopped putting on my analysis mindset and just became like a full-on fan. Like, have the two superstars in Paolo Banchero and Cade Cunningham delivered almost so effortlessly. And I say almost so effortlessly because all those buckets they just made, no way you can tell me they were easy looks at all. Yet they converted them because that's what number 1 picks do, damn it. That's what these teams drafted them to do, to show up in these big time crucial moments. Seriously, absolute cinema. I do not use that lightly at all. I think it's the perfect application here. Paolo Banchero, 17 of 31, 45 points, hitting 6 out of 11 threes. Most people were just making fun of him with his PB No J moniker, yet he pulls off stuff like this. He absolutely wanted this series to be over. He knew that he had to do extra with Franz Wagner sidelined, and that's exactly what he did. My goodness. Just when you think he couldn't hit any more shots, he did. And then we transition over to Cade Cunningham. He didn't want to go home, y'all. Not now, not anytime soon, especially in Little Caesars Arena. Also 45 points, going 13 of 23 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, and putting the dagger, on a filthy cross, almost an ankle breaker for the mid-range, which it felt like he had 4 or 5 of just those automatic mid-range looks. Once again, he's showing up in the clutch in the 4th quarter, showing that he's him. Seriously, like, in this day of age, the conversation of taking special moments in basketball for granted, it gets brought up so much to the point where it feels like beating a dead horse. Where like there's just these specific moments that you'll see from time to time that you won't see often, and you just have to learn to appreciate it. And you know what? I think this is a perfect utilization of that conversation topic, because I am feeling that same type of way, y'all. For those who missed out, at least rewatch the highlights. I'm not even sure if watching the highlights again would do enough justice. And also, I have to apologize. I was an extremely doubting of the doubters, or however, I was just doubting this series to be entertaining at all. But man, not only have Orlando turned the tables, we also just witnessed 2 number 1 picks dueling back and forth, trading punches. If I'm Paolo, I couldn't think of a better series to kind of not rejuvenate your reputation per se, but at least put your name back on the map. So many people, including myself, we were just doubting whether he's capable of being that number 1 guy. This is the type of game that reverses that narrative entirely. And Cade Cunningham, although he had less doubts, he's down 3-1. People keep pointing out his turnovers, and he did that quite a few, especially in the middle of that 4th. But that's kind of significant, right? Compared to what he just put out in a series where both teams pride themselves on defense, making life tough for others on the offensive end. Cade seemed unbothered at all. And you just know when you're the number 1 superstar putting out this type of performance, you know that you at least deserve some superstar calls, right? 14 of 14 from the free throw line. And this is honestly the difference that strikes out to me, because Paolo, again, I don't want this single negative to undermine everything he did, but he did go 5 of 12 from the free throw line. And considering before Cade hit that dagger from midi, it was a 3-point game. Just think, if Paolo hits at least 2 more free throws, a possible 7 out of 12 hypothetical scenario. Once Cade hits that midi, they'll only be down by 5. Wait, am I doing my math right? Hold on, I'm still so hyped from the adrenaline of watching this game. I'm not sure if I'm doing mathematics correct. I believe it was 109 to 112. Then Cade hit, so I believe it was like a 5-point lead. Okay, so just pretend once Cade's midi hits, if it stretches to a 5-point lead, we can go with what I just suggested earlier, but if it's a 6-point lead, just say Paolo hits hypothetically 3 more free throws to make it 8 out of 12. You know what I'm trying to say here. To have that many missed opportunities from what's arguably known as the easiest shot in basketball is such a missed opportunity. And it wasn't just Paolo, right? I don't want to shift all of this on Mr. Banchero. Orlando as a team overall shot 16 of 30 from the free throw line. Jamal Cain, he took a trip 7 times. I was actually surprised by that amount. And they only made 3 of those. Anthony Black, Tristan Da Silva, I believe each missed 1. So not just Mr. Banchero himself. If anyone else on the Magic just stepped up in that department, they probably wouldn't have to rush themselves into such a dire scenario, which resulted in that Wendell Carter Jr. offensive foul. And it's not like one team was running away with the game in terms of who had more free throws. This game, as per usual, as what we expect from the series, was super physical, so many trips on each side. I believe Orlando only took 5 less free throws than the Detroit Pistons, and that is significant considering, as I mentioned way earlier in the beginning, Franz Wagner had been sidelined with a calf injury. You don't have Franz Wagner, yet you still managed to get 30 free throws? Again, I just felt like that was such a missed opportunity for Orlando. And for Detroit, early on in the game, they were looking to have the very same issue, right? Tobias Harris uncharacteristically missed 3 straight free throws. Duncan Robinson even missed one. But they showed their composure. Cade especially, 14 of 14 from the line. You cannot ask for better from that. I'm not sure if that even makes sense, but you get what I'm saying. Oh, seriously, I still can't get over some of the tough shots they were making. And man, maybe Cade's shot diet looks easier on like an eye test level because Paolo was taking some very contested threes and also the drives were contested as well, but I believe it's also just Cade Cunningham making things look easy. He has such a knack of creating separation, whether on the step back or with his pace and control. It came to a point where Orlando, late in the game, decided to trap and double. And it did get troublesome in some scenarios for Cade and the Pistons. The turnovers were coming back at not the greatest of times, right? Because Jalen Suggs, Wendell Carter Jr., their hedges and their length and athleticism really caught Cade off guard. But that's what Orlando had to resort to. Desperate times call for desperate measures because as we've seen with the final one-on-one scenario with that deadly mid-range dagger, again, I cannot bring that up enough because that is such a superstar moment. You really cannot afford to just leave him alone in that isolation possession. And it's understandable as to why Orlando had some struggles containing Cade because Franz Wagner would usually be the main assignment on him. There were even a couple possessions in the end where they had to think of something out of the box and put Paolo on him. Oh, it's just things like that, man. When the superstar just goes off, you just see the type of adjustments Orlando is trying to throw at him because he's going crazy, man. Just what a victory, what a game I'm witnessing overall. And it's not just the superstars being awesome and clutch that's making me gush about this. It's also some unorthodox things. This was Orlando's best shooting game. They went 17 of 38 from 3-point range, 44%. No wonder Paolo wanted to win this game. This is kind of a rare opportunity to take advantage of. Paolo also had his own cast of supporting characters, even though it wasn't really enough. Anthony Black, 19 points, 7 of 12 from the field. Definitely a standout performance. The Magic need way more of that. Desmond Bane, 18 points. I will say though, there are a couple times where he just gotta stop flopping, man. I get it's a very physical series. Potentially you could get some calls in your way, but none of that really occurred at all. He did that once with Duncan Robinson early. He tried to do that again in another late possession, and that was super costly because that left Duncan Robinson of all people wide open. I'm not sure if that led to a Jalen Duren offensive rebound, but it was definitely a scary look, especially when Orlando was doing their best to try to claw back. And also another gripe I had with Orlando was I really wish they kind of kept giving Paolo the ball when he was on kind of like a hot streak. And I know they did that in most of the fourth quarter, but there was a time, I'm not sure if it was late third quarter or early fourth quarter, where he was taking advantage of mismatches. Orlando did a nice job executing not exactly slip screens, but screens to set up Paolo being guarded by Duncan Robinson or just another smaller defender. And then the next couple possessions, Orlando just went away from that. There was one possession I had in mind where Jamal Cain was on the fast break. Paolo was being guarded by Duncan Robinson. For some reason, I don't know if it was the wingspan, he just couldn't inbound the ball, so he resorted to passing it to Desmond Bane. That was not really the best awareness, and even Paolo, after the play ended, he was like clapping his hands in frustration like, yo, you gotta give me the rock. I had Duncan Robinson on me. In hindsight, you would like those back. And speaking of another Orlando gripe, I guess this does transition to Detroit positives. The offensive rebounding. Usually, we see both of these teams battle on the boards, and the statistics for rebounds always end up kind of even. This game, it was kind of an exception in terms of who gets a clear advantage because Detroit had double the offensive rebounds Orlando had. So the more possessions and second chance points you get, obviously the better. And no doubt, we still saw the same effort of guys flying on the floor, flying over the glass, crashing like crazy. I cannot tell you the amount of times players just dived on the floor like their lives depended on it. And it was oh so glorious, man. Dude, this series has been way much better than I thought. Oh, the hustle is off the charts. Jalen Duren, in terms of performance, some could view this as disappointing because he only ended up with 12 points on 6 field goal attempts. But it wasn't as bad as the others. So with that, this is a good start. You know, Jalen Duren at least closed out this game. Usually it was Isaiah Stewart taking the clutch minutes, but this time Jalen Duren did just enough. So this is a step in the right direction, but knowing Cade needs more help, I mean, he dropped 45. He was hitting almost everything, and the game was still within grasp. that just tells you how difficult things are going to be for the rest of this series and how much more they need out of him. Also, shout out to Tobias Harris. I know people kind of clown on him a lot during his previous playoff endeavors, but this series, he's been solid. Albeit not the role that he expected, but he's stepping up. 9 of 18 from the field, 23 points. Similar to Cade, it seemed like almost every mid-range shot that he took was going to go to the bottom of the net. And Stan Van Gundy kept pointing out, he even said he sounded like a broken record, but Orlando kept making Tobias go to his left hand. I was like, yeah, you're right, he looks so much more comfortable, and we saw it in full effect with the fadeaways. Gosh, that's the type of commentary I'm talking about that I love. Just like a cherry on top to this series, to this amazing game. So yeah, what a series this has been so far. Glad to be NBA fan, super grateful to watch and be a part of this momentous occasion. And maybe do it again next game. I don't want to be too greedy. That's the greed in the Bible they're talking about. But let me know what you guys think of the game, of the performances, of this series overall. Gosh, what a crazy... This is just the first round, y'all. Oh, I'm so hyped, so excited. Let's go.